Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, happy Wednesday. You guys have been doing a great job this week with this lesson or these lessons. So today it's just an extension of what we've been working at. We're going to continue working on multiplying fractions, but today we're multiplying non-unit fractions times non-unit fractions. So we're going to be seeing like 2/3 of, and remember of means multiply, 2/3 of 2/3. So let's get into it. Again, we're going to have to do models, but we're going to start transitioning away from the models so you can just show it numerically. So get ready for that. All right, let me minimize myself and get ready. All right, so let's start with, oh shoot, I've lost my paper. Let's start with 2/3 of 3/4. Sorry about that. I'll have it, now it's closer. Let's start with 2/3 of 3/4. Now that we have two non-unit fractions, it doesn't really matter which model or which fraction we start our model with, but it's super important, super important to label. I was kind of getting on some of us yesterday about not labeling our model. So I'm going to create 3/4 first. I'm going to also shade in. I know that I have a highlighter, so it's a little easier on this, but with pencil, you could do a lighter shade. Don't do as dark of a shade. Make sure you can see your partition lines. I'm going to label that, oops, I'm on my highlighter, label that as my 3/4. Now we're trying to find 2/3 of this section. We're looking for 2/3 of this section. So, well, we're going to cut the whole piece into thirds, or the whole model into thirds. And I'm looking for 2/3 of that. So I'm going to think only of my green lines right now, and I'm looking for 2/3 of that. Well, that would be these two sections of the three parts, right? And again, I had my highlighter, but that's 2/3. So what we're looking at in this model, because we've labeled it, I'm looking at 2/3 of my 3/4. So we're looking just at this section. That's the answer. So that we'd be looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11, 12. So we know that this is 6/12. Let's see if that worked mathematically if we multiplied the top. If we multiply 2 times 3, do we get 6? Absolutely. If we multiply 3 by 4, do we get 12? Absolutely. So our answer is 6/12. But as we were practicing yesterday, we have to analyze our answer and find out if we can simplify. So let's think of the top number first. We think of all the factors that can be multiplied or divided, I should say divide into 6. Well, 1 in itself do that, 1 and 6, and then there's also 2 and 3. Now, we never want to use the 1, so we'll just get rid of that because 1 doesn't change anything. It just keeps it 6. So we can use 2, 3, or 6. Now let's think about those three factors and think, do they also divide into 12? Well, 2 definitely divides into 12, right? 3 also divides into 12. And 6 as well divides into 12. So we're going to divide both by 6 to rename it as 1/2. Perfect. Now that we've simplified it all the way down to its most simplest form, we're done. And we know that we're done a lot of times when it's either a prime number or factors that can't be divided into by the same thing. Prime numbers are a big hint: 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. All right, let's try another one. Clear your boards and let's practice again before we go on to our problem sets. Let's do the example that I showed on the front page, 2/3 of 2/3. This time, instead of writing the of, I'm going to write the multiplication sign, 2/3 of 2/3. Okay, well, let's remember, we want to label our models because that's going to make it easiest to see what we're doing. So here's 2/3. Let me highlight, and if you're using your pencil, do a lighter shade. All right, so there's my 2/3. Now I'm looking for 2/3 of that 2/3. So let me, again, Now I'm just looking for 2/3 of those yellow cuts, right? So I'm looking for this, 2 of those rows, 2/3. And now that I have those 2/3, oops, let me change color. I'm looking for just the section that's colored in of the 2/3 of the 2/3, kind of creating this little square. Well, there's 4 pieces out of 9. So it would be 4/9. Okay, so 9 is a fact. Oh, let's start with the 4. I'm sorry. 4 has, we can multiply 1 times 4 to create 4. We could also multiply 2 times 2 to create 4. So 1, 2, and 4. Again, we forget about the 1. 1 doesn't work. So 2 and 4. Do either of those numbers also multiply or and create 9 or divide into 9 evenly? Well, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Nope. 4, 8, 12. Nope. That's as simplest as it gets right there. Yeah, let's go into the problem set now. I think you guys have this. Actually, hold up. Wait a minute. Let's do one without the model. Let's do, whoops, I didn't mean to redo it. I guess we'll do it with a blank white page. Let's do 3, I don't like red on a blank page. Or yellow, I said red, wow. 3/4 of 3/4. Or, we remember when you ever see that, we're thinking of it like 3/4 times 3/4. We multiply the top by the top. And we're multiplying the bottom by the bottom. So that should equal 3 times 3 is 9. And 4 times 4 is 16. Now we got to analyze. Well, 1 times 9 makes 9. And 3 times 3 makes 9. Do either of those numbers, 3 or 9, also divide into 16 evenly? Well, if we count by 3s, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, nope. And 9 is 9 and 18. So no, that's as simplest as it gets. Let's do one more where I know we'll have to simplify. Let's do 2/3 times oh shoot. Wow, I can't think. Let's do 5. Nope. Yeah, 5, 6. Sorry, I was trying to like do the math in my head to make sure that we could simplify it. Whew. This is a good example though. Took my brain a second. 2 times 5 is 10, right? We just multiply the top by the top, the numerator by the numerator, and then we do the bottom by the bottom, denominator times the denominator. So 3 times 6 is 18. Okay, so let's think of the factors of 10. So what numbers divide evenly into 10? Well, 1 and 10 definitely multiply into it. Well, then there's 2 times what? Yeah, 2 times 5 go into it. Does 3 work into it? Nope. 4, nope. So that's it. Those are our factors. Again, we always forget about the 1 because it's just not going to work. Do any of these other numbers work for 18? Well, to make your life the simplest, always start with the largest number and work your way back. 10, 20, that doesn't work. 5, 10, 15, doesn't work. They were both even. So we know that 2 always works with 2 even numbers. So we could divide the bottom and the top, the numerator and the denominator, by 2. Well, 10 becomes 5, 18 becomes 9, 5/9. Now, if you know your prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 5 is a prime number. So that kind of gives you a hint that you're pretty close to being the simplest form. All right. So let's get to our problem set. And then we should be on track for just under 15-minute video is my guess. All right, let's zoom in on this and see the directions. Again, if you can't find your book, just do these problems on a piece of paper. All right, it says solve. Draw a rectangular fraction model to explain your thinking, and then write a number sentence to help, show what you've done. The first one's done for you, so we can always look back. Now, they don't give us a lot of room for our models, so I'd like you to pick 2 of these 4. And I'm going to do E with us. So I'm going to start with 2/3. There's 1/3, 2/3. Remember to label, please. Try to label. There's my 2/3. Now I'm looking for 3/4 of that. So 3/4, so 1/4. And then I'm looking for 3 of those fourths, right? So I'm going to chunk out off the side 3 of those fourths. And I'm looking at these pieces that are in those spots. Looking for those 6 pieces. 6 out of 12, which is also, we can divide both by 6, and that's also 1/2. Now notice I didn't show the divide by 6 on both. That example is exactly one that we did together on our whiteboards practice. So that one should have felt familiar. All right, so pick 2 more of these, B, D, or C, and I'm gonna pause. You're gonna get working and unpause me and I'll have the answers for us. All right, I just showed the answers. I'm not showing the model, but you'll notice I could divide on B, I could divide by 4, both to the top and the bottom, and we were able to get 3/5. 4/15 for C, that is simple as it gets. I can't divide 4 into 15. I also can't divide 2 into 15. Same thing's true for D, 8/15. That's as simple as it gets. I cannot divide 8, 4, or 2 into 15 evenly. All right, so now we're on to question 2. And it says multiply and draw a rectangular fraction model if it helps you, or use the method of the example. So the method of the example is what we do except for this part right here. Some of us can simplify it before we even get to the answer. Some of us. I would just like you to simplify at the end, and we'll practice that skill later on, okay? So I know some of us will be able to do that. If you think you can challenge yourself to showing a simplification there, do it, but it'll be easier for us to simplify at the end. So remember what we're looking for, and let's do B together, and then you can try A, and on the next page, there's 2 more as well. We're multiplying the numerator times the numerator, top times the top. What's 4 times 5? Well, that's 20. What's denominator times the denominator? 5 times 8? Well, that's 40. Well, we can divide both of these by, actually, we can divide both by 20. 20 also goes into 40, right? 20, 40. So if I divide 20 by 20, I get 1. If I divide 20 by 40, or 40 by 20, I should say, there's 2 groups of 20 and 40. So that's also equal to 1/2. All right, go ahead and try A, and then there's also, let me flip to the next page. There's also 2 on this page that I'd like you to try. All right, so go ahead and start that and unpause me. All right, let's take a look at your work. Now, today without me, if you can get this part of the answer, I'm really proud of you. If you can get to a simplified answer, awesome, super impressed. But if you can't get to this part today, don't stress about it. We'll work on that over the next couple lessons. So I really want you to show that you can at least get to the first multiplication step. Show me that it's 15/24. We'll work on how to analyze and simplify if you can't get there. So don't stress yourself today about getting to the simplified answer. Really just work on the multiplying, and then we will make sure that you feel good about dividing and simplifying. On this one, it's a divide by 3. We divide the top and the bottom, the numerator and the denominator by 3, we get 5/8. Let's take a look at, oh, come on, get out of my way, toolbar. Let's take a look at the next page. Again, we multiply the numerator by the numerator. 2 times 6 is 12, and then on the bottom, 3 times 7, denominator 10 times, denominator times denominator is 21. Analyzing that, 12 can be divided by 2, 3, 4, and 6. And 12, the one that goes into 21 is 3 as well. So we divide by 3 on that one to get 4/7. Again, if you can get here, that's the meat of today's lesson. Getting here, we'll have plenty of time to practice that. So just keep that in mind. Over here, 12/90. This one was hard. Look at what I had to do over here. I had to set up a standard algorithm. And I redid that work a couple times. I started with 5, and I realized as soon as I got past the Actually, I started with 4s. I'm sorry. As soon as I got past the 9 10s, I realized that it wasn't going to work. So I restarted and I tried 6. Um, so going on, let's go ahead and try. Which word problem should we try? Let's go ahead and do number 3 with Philip's family. So Philip's family, and we'll do it together. So this is our last problem together. Philip's family traveled 3/10 of the distance to his grandmother's house. They traveled 4/7 of the remaining distance on Sunday. So this is really important to want to draw a picture, because when we're talking about fraction of a fraction, so if I think about this and I have it in tenths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oops, almost had it, tenths. And I know that 3 of these tenths are what we traveled on Saturday, but we're looking for the rest. This is the rest. So what's the fraction for that? This is where they try to trick us a lot. They talk about they tell us what information we already know, but then ask us to solve for what we don't know. Well, the rest is 7/10. If the first part was 3/10, well, the rest would be 7/10. And they're talking about traveling 4/7 of the rest of that. So we want 4/7 of 7/10. I'm not going to draw I don't need to draw 7s across to solve this now. I'm going to solve it numerically. Why I drew that picture was to understand what they're really looking for, to help me understand what they were looking for. They were looking for the rest of what we were traveling. So it's 4/7 of 7/10. Now, for those people that are looking to simplify early, I see a 7 and I see a 7. We could divide both of those 7s by 7 and create 1, and just watch how this is. So that would create 1 on those. So 4 times 1 would be 1. 1 times 10 would be 10. Let's see if that should be 1/10. Now, for some of us that can't see that yet, let's just solve it as normal. 4 times 7 is 28. 7 times 10 is 70. Whoa, 28 70ths. I think I messed up with my dividing anyways. Yeah, I feel like I messed up on that example just a second ago. Now I'll have to rewatch my own video and analyze what I just did. So I apologize if that messed us up. So 28 70ths. I know that 28 can be multiplied and divided with 7 as a factor. So if I divide both by 7, I get 4/10. With 4/10, I can also divide by that again by 2 and get 2/5. So there's our answer. Maybe I didn't mess up. I apologize that I'm getting myself all clunked up thinking about that. I think I was right now, now that I'm seeing it. Ugh. Again, I'm gonna have to rewatch and analyze my own work. All right, so what fraction of the total distance to his grandmother's house was traveled on Sunday? Well, here's our answer. They traveled 2/5. And what was, there's no, I'm looking for a unit. There's no unit, so they traveled 2/5 of the distance on Sunday. So there's still quite a bit of distance to go. There's still 3/5 of the way to go. And hopefully they get there soon. All right. Good job today. Hopefully this lesson's about 15 minutes long. Your exit ticket looks like this. Let me zoom in and read the direction. Again, if you don't have a piece of paper or can't find your book, just do this on a piece of paper. Now it does say draw a rectangular fraction model to explain your thinking. Let's add the words if needed. So if you want to try to solve using your just multiplication and numerical method, go ahead. And then I also want to add the directions of simplify. We want to simplify as well. And then there's a word problem. Be careful with this. it might be trying to trick you. All right. All right. Good job today. Let me know if you need any help. I'm available for Zoom. And we'll talk to you soon. See you tomorrow. Bye, guys.